would be good as well through the fishing season, but for the grayling, that's why it's a really good nymph to have. And this one's got a tungsten bead, just as this has. And it's a 2.5mm tungsten bead on a size 12 grub hook. But what I'm going to be using is, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, is the synthetic quills. This is a synthetic quills here. You get all different colours, you get olives and oranges, yellows. This is basically a pale yellow, which I quite like. The yellow, there's the olive. Now obviously you can tie all your other flies with them. Now I've tied 2 or 3 patterns, tied some nymphs which are really good. Some buzzers, I've got a buzzer here, you can see. Just to give you an idea what it looks like, this is with the kind of pale yellow one. You see, really nice quill like body. Now as I say, we use the yellow one on this. And it's up to yourself, the patterns I say they're out there. Now I'm just going to basically put the, obviously tungsten bead, 2.5mm on this size 12. I'm going to use copper wire to build it up slightly at the back. You could use lead, make it a wee bit heavier. What I'm going to do is run it down about maybe halfway, carry on down with a single layer and then work my way back up. This is just adding to the taper of the body of the fly. And obviously weight, it just adds it all. Then I'm going to come back down and back up. Again, making the taper. And then break it off. Then to smooth everything out, I'm just going to use a resin just to coat the whole, coat all the copper wire, just spread it out all the way around, right up to the bead itself. This is just a barbless hook, you can use whatever hooks you have. Just take your time in making sure that the resin's all the way around. And then slightly onto the hook at the back so that it continues with the taper. I always keep it upside down at this point. Feel that the resin sits better for me. And then come in, get your torch, set your resin. Now if you don't use the UV resin, you can use just a varnish, or even some super glue, or just leave it. Just work up and down. Now I'm going to use a uni thread in dark brown, an 8O. You could use a flat thread, like a UTC or a Danvers. Again, it's up to yourself. You can start at the top, and then using the waste piece to control the turns as I go down. The tighter you hold the waste piece, the tighter the turns will be. Because when you go into this, it will push the thread against the other. Just keep going all the way down. This point here. Now, when you buy these, you get different widths. You get the thicker ones at one side and then the finer at the other, as you can see, depending on the size you're tying. Now I'm using the larger one at this point. And what I'm going to do, so I've got a tapered start. I'm going to cut it into a sort of point like that. But then I need to add a tail. You know, you could fish this without a tail, it's up to yourself. And I'm just going to use some coloured or marked in micro Fibets. This is just a nice cream or yellow. I'm going to grab maybe 4 to 6 fibres here. Line them up. You just want them short. Just hold them in your finger and thumb. Now I hold them to this side of the hook. And when I do a turn, I bring them round and on the top. Don't have them too long. That's fine. Come up a couple of turns. You can trim this the length of the body, which is about just there, 2/3 of the way up. Don't trim it all down here because it'll no work. You'll have a step. You don't want that. Now we're back to our synthetic quill. And this is yellow. Just catch it on the side. And then touching turns with the thread. And controlling these waste pieces of the micro Fibets. Just work your way up. You just don't want them twisting, just bring them back round. careful of the point of the hook, just like I hit it there, so that's fine to that point there. Then we can bring this round and basically do a turn in front of the other. You can slightly overlap if you wish. Just build up a nice body. Cross your thread, nice and tight. Trim away the waste. Now at this point what I would do is tidy up. Come in with a wee wet finish. Now I'm going to basically use a resin on the body. Now what I would do normally is just make sure these tail fibres are out. That's fine. Just with a spread, get a better look. You could varnish over the top of this, just allow it to dry, or for speed I'm going to use a UV resin. Again, this is a light one. We drop at the top, and then turn on the device. I like to spread the resin, just be careful it doesn't spread onto the tail. And you want to try and keep that nice taper in the body that you've formed. And once you're happy with the shape, you can get your torch, come in and set the resin. All the way around, just making sure that the resin's set. Fine. Then what I'm going to do is colour the top part of the body with a permanent marker pen, in this case brown. Take your time. There you go. Then allow that to dry. Now that you could finish at that. Just put a coat of varnish over it. There you go. So you get a nice effect. Now, the best thing to do is always to tie 3 or 4 of these, but I'm going to keep going so you can see what I'm doing. And you could actually go over it as well with some more resin. It's entirely up to yourself. Now, for the thorax cover, what I'm going to use is, this is mottled nymph skin. See here? It's mottled nymph skin. Basically, cut a slice off. I've cut a piece off, the width, around about in this size of fly, 3 to 4 mil. I wouldn't go any more than that. There you go. Now what I'm going to do here is cut it into a point. Just slight point so I can catch it in. Now there is a shiny side. You want, when you fold that over, to basically to be on the top, so get your thread back on, same thread, trim, stretch it down, just make it, depending on the size of the thorax. Now I'm looking for at least a third, just make sure that's wound in, or tied in. Then I'm going to form a dubbing loop. Just put your fingers onto the thread, and then wind your thread back up, and then back down, ready for to catch in any materials or anything you want to tie off. And get your dubbing trawler. There's a small dubbing trawler. This is the Darryl Martin one. Now, for the dubbing, I'm just going to use a natural fur. This is a fox squirrel, and this is by Wapsi, natural fur, which is a really good fur to use. You don't need a lot. You've got a mix of under fur and guard here. Just lightly on, up in between the thread turns, or the thread, the loop you've formed anyway. And then spin the bobbin, and it'll tighten up for you. You want guard hair and under fur in this. But you don't want too much, because you've really got a good thick thorax at this point. And then you just, as long as it's nice and tight, just wind down, drawing back any fibres going forward, just run them back with your fingers to right to the bead, cross your thread, and then come in with 2 or 3 turns, keeping the dubbing twirler in front. Again, draw any fibres going forward, just draw them back with the thread, trim away, loop, and always trim this off, don't leave that on your dubbing twirler because that puts pressure on the spring. It'll last that wee bit longer. Then some velcro, I just form a space for the thin skin or nymph skin, just over the back, come around, fix it in, 2 or 3 turns, I usually pull it, 2 or 3 turns in front, get some super glue, just rub it onto your thread, just ignore everything at this point, and just 2 or 3 turns again, come in about finish, 3-4 turns, tighten up, trim your thread away, and you could put a small point or a small V into this, you can cut it to get a shape, or you can cut it square, it's entirely up to yourself. I'll just cut it straight across, halfway over the thorax, and then you could put a point in the centre, which gives a nice wing bud effect. Cut it out. Take a bit more time than I am at this point. And there we are. Now we can come in with the velcro at this underneath and just pull out some of the extra fur that you don't need. And some of the extra length, or some that are a wee tad too long, you can pull them away. So you can get a nice shape. I'm just going to fold the skin down a wee bit. And there we go. Very simple to tie. Now what you can do is, we'll get some more of the resin here, just at the head. Just lightly come round onto the top. I'd rather put a wee drop on the top and then just work it round. More control over it then. This will make everything nice and strong. And if your ring buds are sitting up a wee bit too much, you can slightly hold them with your finger and set the resin so it holds it.